I live in a house full of Nintendo nerds, and this is our game room where we keep my Nintendo 64, my roommate's Nintendo GameCube, and our Nintendo Wii. The second 64 and the Switch are downstairs. This is also where we keep all of the games we like to play on them. You could say I'm a bit of a fan. In 2021, Shigeru Miyamoto, the creator of Mario, announced that Nintendo was going to be partnering with American child-friendly production company Illumination to create the Super Mario Bros. Movie 2023. It was originally supposed to be released in the holiday season, meaning late 2022, but was delayed until the spring of 2023 for what was speculated to be post-production issues. This didn't bode well for the story, and when the movie came out, it was pretty clear there was little to no thematic framework here. The film's writer, Matthew Fogel, confirmed this when he talked on a panel about how the production team made the choice to avoid exposition, calling it Death for Family Movies, and tried to cram 105 minutes of content into 80 minutes of runtime, keeping it fast-paced to keep the attention of children. Since the plot was suffering, it stands to reasons that the character development would also suffer, and this is the most obvious with Princess Peach. I can't believe you paid somebody to write this. She's boring. She's so boring. She has no flaws, and that's bad. Depending on what forum you enter, you'll find differing opinions on whether this characterization of Peach was bad or great. The responders to this post on the subreddit r/girlgamers said that they thought the characterization was great because it finally showed Peach as a strong, independent woman who can go toe-to-toe with the boys and was distinctly not the damsel in distress they were worried the filmmakers might do. They said it was great to see her doing a bunch of action-packed stuff and being an exciting main character. One of them even said she would have been extremely mad if they had shown her baking a cake. The author of this post seemed to be looking for answers with a little more nuance. She stated that her younger brother asked her why Mario's character was so bad compared to Peach, and was asking for advice on how to explain it to him. Her responses indicate that she was not really satisfied with replies because when she went to ask for clarifications, many times her questions would go unanswered. The more general subreddit r/Nintendo had a bigger mix of reactions in response to this post asking what they thought of Peach's characterization. Many of them thought that her characterization was good for the same reasons that the other subreddit did. Good female representation, they collectively cheered. Some of them thought that Peach's characterization as a strong woman emasculated them, and those people were quickly dogpiled with downvotes. One person in this subreddit had the same thoughts that I did. Peach's characterization is boring. The filmmakers could have done better. And they made a point that I didn't think of, that Peach's character would have been even better if they had had her solve problems diplomatically instead of solving everything with violence. This would have made her a good character foil to all of the other male characters who do only solve every problem with violence. So what does Peach do in the movie? Well, the first time we meet her, she immediately has a plan for how to save her kingdom from invasion by Bowser. Indeed, she has no self-doubts about her abilities as a ruler. When she first meets Mario, she immediately makes the decision to trust him, and this never comes back around to being a bad idea. She runs the dangerous obstacle course perfectly, without the aid of a power-up, which Mario requires, and she tells him she ran it perfectly the first time she ever did it, when she was a literal child. She shows no fear when confronting the Kongs or Bowser's minions or Bowser himself. She does crazy tricks on a motorcycle and fights with a spear despite being raised by docile toads with no mention or explanation as to how she may have learned these things, suggesting they are inherent to her. The one time in the movie where it looks like she's defeated, it turns out no, the plan was for her to get captured all along so that she could get her toads away safely and fight Bowser face to face one-on-one. This is leading into the climax of the movie, and it's admittedly pretty awesome with her dress transformation and the fact that she chose an ice attack to counter Bowser's lava, and she freezes the chain spinner so that the prisoners don't get dropped into the lava. And then this is the one time in the movie where she effectively fails, but not because she did anything wrong or because she wasn't capable of finishing the fight. It's because we're at the climax of the movie, and this is called the Super Mario Brothers movie, so they have to be the ones to defeat Bowser. That's the only reason that she doesn't just end the battle here, because otherwise there is nothing else in this film explaining to us why she should have failed here. It feels jarring to watch. Like, most of the way through the viewing, somebody switched the reels, and now you're watching a different movie that's very similar to the one you were just watching, but which makes no sense with everything you've seen up to this point. They said they wanted to tighten the movie down and not overload it with exposition so that kids could keep up with it, but it would have been so easy to fix this. Partway through the movie, all action stops while Peach, Toad, and Mario make camp on their way to the Jungle Kingdom. The filmmakers take this opportunity to throw in some very clunky dialogue about Peach's backstory, as well as introducing the Fire Flower transformation. Now, while most scenes in the movie look like the animation is already done and it was really expensive, so we have to put it in the movie, this scene is definitely that. And it's also the scene that could have fixed Peach's character. Instead of talking to Mario about not knowing where she's from and how she might be a human and how many planets there are in the universe, how about she talks about how she feels being the ruler of a non-combative nation, about the pressure she feels to be the perfect princess and also protect her subjects. Then, because this is a very weird thing to be talking to a stranger about, she can essentially tell Mario, never mind, and once he goes to sleep, she can talk to Toad, her subject, about her insecurities. Maybe have her express that she wonders if she's doing a good job and admit that she puts on an unbreakable persona because she feels like she has to in order to do her job. You could even have her admit here that she lied to Mario about running the gauntlet perfectly the first time. Then you could have some back and forth between her and Toad, where Toad tells her he knows she's been practicing it for years while the rest of the kingdom sleeps, and he figured that she just did it because she felt like it was her responsibility to be able to protect them. You could even, and hold your hats for this one, have her express concerns about gender norms and wonder if she's acting like a proper princess. Have her ask, "Is this how you princess?" And then have Toad come back and say he knows she's doing a great job and that she'll do whatever it takes to protect her people, and that's what they need from their ruler in a time like this. Then this could tie into that moment in the film later when she does some crazy move on her bike and saves Toad on Rainbow Road, and then it zooms in on his face and he says, "That is how you princess!" Because that moment was clearly meant to be something big and thematic, and it's not, but if you were to change it to have it reference something earlier in the film, it could be so much better and actually impact Princess Peach's character. This could have happened in the same amount of time it took them to do the original scene, with very little addition. The argument that they didn't want to bog it down with exposition because it would be difficult for kids to follow is just bad. Kids learn by being challenged, and for the record, so do adults. The filmmakers trip over their own excuses with this, too. One of the arguments is that Mario has been in the public consciousness for 40 years, so everyone knows who Mario is. Well, at least adults do. But the film isn't for them. It's for kids. Kids with short attention spans. Which suggests that they are either very young or that they all have ADHD. Kids may know who Mario is, but presumably the ones with short attention spans, whom this movie is for, would not have been immersed for years in the Mario franchise, so they would need some sort of exposition to know what was going on. And then adults who have been immersed in the Mario franchise within the last 40 years are okay with having exposition in a story. So why couldn't you do this again? Large production companies are still struggling with good representation in film. This film is the result of bad character development and bad storytelling. The post-production issues were only speculation because most of the production for this movie was kept carefully under wraps, to the point where not even the cast knew what any of the plot points were. According to this blog post, the voice actors were offered several versions of some lines and asked to choose which they felt suited the scene best. I think we can agree that the production on this was a little sketchy. It seems like the actors didn't know what any of the plot points were because neither did the creators. Flawless characters are boring, and boring characters with too much screen time are annoying. Peach didn't have to be this way. Did you know that she's a playable character in over 16 different games? And those aren't all Smash Brothers and Mario Kart either. I have 3 games that I own where she has a clear and consistent personality, important bearing on the plot, and makes herself useful to Mario while maintaining dignity, decorum, and delicateness. And in this one, she even bakes a cake. Okay. Fingers crossed. Hopefully that was it. I'm so nervous. This is obviously the superior Mario Kart. Obviously. It's fine. It's fine. It's gonna be fine. Come on, Cupcake. It's time for your cameo. Eat it. That was the exact same time that I checked that last time. That was weird. That was weird.